Good morning, grade 7 learners. I hope you are still keeping it safe and healthy. Mr. Mahloko here. Today, we are going to do mathematics. Particularly, we'll be covering dividing decimal fractions to include decimal fractions to at least 3 decimal places by whole numbers. We have 0,8 divided by 2, 16,4 divided by 4, 3,8 divided by 5. We'll be using the common fraction method or technique. Let us try to find out what do you mean by division. Just modeling it, we have, say, this hole or the rectangle here that will represent 0,8. When we divide it by 2, we cut it into 2 equal parts. And therefore, as you can see, when we are talking about the 2 equal parts, we want to know what part, what does it represent? Which means it's one part of the 2 equal parts, which means it's a half. In actual fact, when we divide by 2, it means that we want to know the half of 0,8. And in terms of a number sentence, we say 0,8 multiplied by half, which means it's half of 0,8. The same can be said with 16,4. Dividing it by 4, it means that we are going to divide it or share it into 4 equal parts. And then what do we know about one part of these 4 equal parts? It means it's a quarter. Therefore, we want to know the quarter of 16,4. That can be represented as 16,4 multiplied by quarter. That can be said also by 3,8 divided by 5. 5 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then one part of these 5 equal parts, it is fifth. 1/5. Then we have 3,8 multiplied by 1/5. Then we can say 0,8, let us put it as a common fraction, or convert it into common fraction is 8/10. Now let us multiply. Here we can say immediately that we simplify by saying 2 into 2 goes how many times? 1 time. And then 2 into 8 goes how many times? 4 times. So which means 4/10 multiplied by 1, it will give us 4/10. Then we go back to the decimals. 4/10, it means that we are having 0,4. This is 4/10. That is our answer, as we can see. Now let us go to 16,4 multiplied by 1/4. What do we get there? Again, 16,4, remember, as a fraction, we are going to get the mixed number. It's going to be 16 and 4/10. We are multiplying it by 1/4. So what we are going to do is that we multiply the units or the whole number by quarter, as well as the 4/10 by quarter. This is what we'll be getting. 16 multiplied by a quarter, and then Because it's 16 and 4 quarters, that's why we'll say it's plus. And then we're going to have 4 tenths multiplied by 1 quarter. Now 16 multiplied by 1 quarter, or a quarter of 16, in a nutshell, is 4. And then we have 4 tenths, okay, multiplied by 1 quarter. Then we know that it could be 4 into 4 goes once when we simplify it. And then here also it goes once. So we are going to say 1 by 1 is 1, and then 10 by 1 is going to be 1 tenth. So it's going to be plus, or 1 tenth, which is 4 tenths. Then we go back to the decimal. Then how much does it give us? We'll get 4,1, which is our answer. Then let us go to this one. We have 3,8 multiplied by 1/5. Again, it's going to be a mixed number, which is 3 and 8 tenths multiplied by 1/5. Just like the previous one, we are going to multiply 3 by 1/5 and then 8 tenths by also 1/5. Plus 8 tenths by 1/5. Good. It gives us how much here? It's going to give us, as you can see, we cannot simplify, but we can say 3 multiplied by 1, because 3 is the same as 3 out of 1. Then we are going to get 3/5 plus, and then this one is going to give us how much? 8 by 1 is going to be 8, and then 10 by 5 is 50. So it 8/50. Now adding them, as you can see now, the denominators are not the same. Therefore, we need to do equivalent fractions. But it should be equivalent to what? Now remember, for us to get the decimals quickly, we must make sure that it is either denominator is 10, or it's 100, or it's 1,000. What we can see here is that we can go straight forward to hundreds. Then we are going to say 3/5 is equals to 60 hundredths, because 5 into 100 goes how many times? 20, and then 20 multiplied by 3 is 60 hundredths. And then plus 16 hundredths, which is 50, denominator 50 into 100 goes how many times? 2 times, and then 2 by 8, it gives you 16. Then we can now add swiftly, because we are dealing with the hundreds. 60 hundredths plus 16 hundredths, it gives us how much? It will give us 76 hundredths. That is easier now to convert it to decimal fraction, because it is easily reflected in the place value chart. So we are going to have 0,76. That is the technique of common fraction. Let us carry on. Now let us look at the direct methods without converting it to common fractions. The same numbers as the previous slide. We are having 0,8 divided by 2. Directly, we are just going to say 2 into, let me see whether it's, we will just say it's 8 tenths divided by 2, which means 8 tenths divided by 2, or half of 8 tenths will be 4 tenths. How do we write 4 tenths in a decimal notation? It is 0,4. Correct. Good. The second one, 16,4 divided by 4. What we have here, we'll say we are having 16 units divided by 4 plus this 4 is 4 tenths divided by 4. Now, 4 into 16 units, it will give us 4 units plus 4 into 4 tenths, it will give us 1 tenth. And then 4 units plus 1 tenth as a decimal, we are having 4,1, which is our answer. And then the last one, let us look at the last one. Number C, we are having 3,8 divided by 5. It means we are having 3 units divided by 5 plus 8 tenths divided by 5. Now, as you can look at this, you see that we are not 5 into 3 cannot get into without leaving any remainder or whatever. So we can say, if it is like that, what we know from the place value chart is that 3,8, it can be the same as 38 tenths. It can be the same as 38 tenths. Then when we are talking about 38 tenths, then 5 can get into it. Again, we can seek a number that will be divisible by 5. How about taking maybe 35? Out of this 38 tenths, let us take 35 tenths and see when we divide them what is happening here. 35 tenths are written like this as a common fraction, which means it's the same as the mixed number 3 and 5 tenths. So what we have here, we're going to have 35 tenths divided by 5 plus, now remember, after you have taken 35 tenths, you are left with 3 tenths. Now again, 5 cannot come into this 3. Therefore, but what we see is that 3 tenths are the same as 30 hundredths. 3 tenths is the same as 30 hundredths. Therefore, we are going to take this one and then we say 30 hundredths divided by 5. Right. Now 35 tenths divided by 5. 5 into 35 goes how many times? 7 tenths. We'll be having 7 tenths, and then we add them to 5 into 30 hundredths will be 6 hundredths. And then we can write it directly into the decimal numbers, because 7 tenths, it means there are no units, 0,76. This is the tenths, 7, and then 6 hundredths. Those are the methods that we talked about as the direct one, now using the place value chart to talk about these digits. Right. The third method that we are going to do also as a direct one could be that when we are having this 0,8 divided by 2, we'll be saying just 2 into 0 goes how many times? 0, and then we put that comma there, and then we say 2 into 4, 8 goes how many times? It goes 4 times. That is the answer. So now it's becoming easier and easier as we go along. And then we have 16,4 divided by 4 is equals to, directly we'll say 4 into 16 goes how many times? It goes 4 times. And then 4 into 4 goes once. We have comma, remember, and then it is 4, 1. That is going to be our answer. As you can see that you are still getting the same answers as previous slides, but with different methods. The last one, let us see now. Directly, 5 into 3 goes how many times? It does not, so we'll say 0, outright. And then we say 38 tenths divided by 5. It's how much? 7 tenths. We are left with 3 because it makes 35 tenths. That's why we'll be left with 3 tenths. And now remember that we said 3 tenths is the same as 30 hundredths. Therefore 5 into 30, it will give us 6. Again, we are getting 0,76. Good. So far, we did these 3 methods. Now it's up to you to decide which one you are going to use. Which one is easier for you? Now we are looking at the fraction that has, or the decimal number, or decimal fraction that has 2 decimal places after the comma. 0,54 divided by 6, 45,75 divided by 5, and then 3,75 divided by 25. Now, how do we calculate? Which method did I choose here? Let me see. Okay, I said 54 hundredths divided by 6. How much it will give me? 6 into 54 goes how many times? It goes 9 hundredths. Then, as a decimal fraction, it will give me 0,09. 9 hundredths as a decimal fraction is 0,09. You must remember the first lesson on decimals where we used a fraction chart to show how the decimal notation comes about. Therefore, if you go to the first lesson on decimals, you'll see why do I say it's 0,09. That is going to be our answer. Okay, using this method, let me see now. Number 2, 45,75 divided by 5. Oh, I've chosen now the different methods from this one, the direct one again, which is now is 5 into 45 goes how many times? 9. And then we'll be having comma. And then 5 into 7 goes how many times? 0. Once. Goes once. And then we are left with how much? We are left with 2 tenths. Now 2 tenths and 5 hundredths will make 25 hundredths. And then we can say 5 into 25 goes how many times? It goes 5 times. So our answer is 9,15. It's very important that you must have different methods so that you have a choice. All right, let me see, number C, which method did I use? Now, the same as this one. 25 into 3 does not go, so we say 0 and then comma. And then we say now 37 tenths. 25 goes how many times into 37? It goes only once. And then we'll be left with how many tenths now? We'll be left with 12 tenths. And then we are going to say 25 into 125 hundredths. It goes how many times? It goes 5 hundredths. So that's why it will give us 0.15. Let me repeat it. Let us see, it's 25 into 3 does not go, so we say 0, comma, and then we say 25 into 37 tenths, it goes only once. Remainder will be 12 tenths. Now if you look at this 12 tenths plus this 5 hundredths, they make up 125 hundredths. We call it by the last place value, 125 hundredths. So 125 hundredths divided by 25, it will give us 5. That's why we are having 0.15. Or let me use another method for interest's sake. We can have now 25 tenths. We can now divide it. We say 37 tenths, we have 25. That can be divisible by 25. And then divide, we are left with 125 hundredths. So we are going to say plus 125 hundredths divided by 25. Now 25 divided by 25, it will give us how much? 1/10. And then plus 125 hundredths divided by 25 to give us 5 hundredths, which in the decimal notation it will be 0.1/10. No units, it's 1/10 and 5 hundredths, which is going to be 0.15. That's good. Now we see that these two different methods can quickly do our work very easy. Now let us look at this one. We are now having 0.054 divided by 6. What do we have there? And then 30.045 divided by 15. And then 26.136 divided by 12. Remember at the beginning we said up to at least 3 decimal places. So we have done 1 decimal place after a comma and then 2 decimal places after a comma. Now we are dealing with 3 decimal places after a comma divided by a whole number. That is according to the CAPS document. Now can we do it directly? Yes. 6 into 0 goes how many times? It does not, so we are going to have 0, comma. And then 6 into this 0 goes how many times? 0 times. Ne? It goes 0 times. Yeah, 0 divided by 6 is 0, and then 0 divided by 6 is also 0. And then 6 into 5, it does not. Then we are going to have what? 0 there. And then 6 into 54. 54 what? Thousands. It will give us how many? It will only give us 9 thousands. Therefore, we are having 0,009. Is it clear? Good. Let us see now when we have a whole number that is having now 2 digits. 15 into 30 goes 2 times, and then comma is there. And then 15 into 0 doesn't, then you put the comma. And then 15 into 4 doesn't, you put 0. And then 15 into 45 goes how many times? 3. It must be 3 here, my learners. Just a mistake. It must be 3. Don't worry. 45 divided by 15, it will be 3. And then what we have here, we have again directly, we can say 12 into 26 goes how many times? 2 times. And then we say comma. We are left with what? 2 units. And then these 2 units will be, with this tens, will be having 21 tenths now. We'll be having 21 tenths. And then 12 into 21 tenths goes how many times? It will go only once. So we'll be having 1. And then we'll be left with what? 9 tenths. And then 9 tenths, you look at these 3 hundredths, they will form 93 hundredths. And then 93 hundredths divided by 12 will give us how much? 7, which is 84. And then 93 minus 84 will be remaining with what? Will be remaining with 9 again, 9 hundredths. And then this 9 hundredths plus 6 thousandths, they will give you 96 thousandths. So 96 thousandths divided by 12, it will be 8 thousandths. So what is our answer? 2,178. Very good. Now, rounding off is very much important when we are dividing decimal fraction by a whole number or by a decimal fraction at a later stage. Now, let us look at this now. 0,76 rounded off to the whole number. It will be approximately equals to what? Now, when we round off to the whole number, remember this is our whole unit, it's our whole number, and then 9 is our whole number, 2 it is our whole number, which is a unit, and then this 2 also is our whole number. But now, for us to be able to round off, we must look at 7, the 10th digit. What do we have in the 10th? We have 7. If we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe let me just quickly show you on the document writer here. Let us quickly do it here on our document writer. We are having we are having 7, and then we do some kind of a number line, and then we know that if you are having 0 here, we'll be having 5 here, and then maybe we'll be having the next 10th. We look at the digit. If the digit is 10, it's 5, we round off up. All the digits that fall here, they will go to this when we round off. We round off up. And then when they are less than 5, which means 4, your 3, your 2, your 1, and as well as 0, they will round off down. We will round off them down to this 0. 1, 2, 3, 4 will be rounded off down to this 0. But when it comes to 5, because now you are in the middle, you cannot go back. You rather go to the next 10th or the next whole number. So now this time around we are having 7. Let's say here is our 7. It's nearer to this rather than going down to 0. So we can round it off up to this. Good. Now let us round it off. What are we going to get now? We are going to get, I had the last one. Okay. Our answer will be 1. To the 0.76 rounded off to the nearest whole number is 1. We are only looking at this 7/10. So it tells us that we must round up or we must round down. Now, let us go to number 2 or number B. Number B is 9.15. What are we saying now when it is 9.15? Our whole number it's 9, and then we said we are going to look at the 10th digit, which is now 1. You remember? Let me go back quickly and you see what did we say. It's 1 now. Ne? When it is here, which means you can go back. You don't need to go to the next whole number. You just go back. You remain on your whole number. You don't go up. You remain there. That's why you are saying go back to where you were or where you are. So then, which means, what does this mean? It means that we are going to have what? To remain at 9. That is why our answer is 9. Very critical. This is what you are doing now. And then let us look at 2.003. Our whole number again is 2, and then we are having 0 here in the 10th digit that we must look at for us to be able to round up or round off down. Now, what is happening here? It's 0. It says to us, don't move, remain there where you are, and then our answer will be 2. Good. And then let's go to, this one. I've given you now the answer. Okay, no problem. It's 1 again, which means we round off down, which we are going to get what? 2. And then look at now, see, number E, we have what? 9 tenths or 9 digits in the tenths, and then our whole number is 6. You know what is going to happen. Now I said 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you round off upwards. So that is why we are going to get what? 7. Remember, for the whole numbers, we are looking only at the tens. This is the tens. They tell us whether we are going to the next whole number or we remain at the whole number that is there, that is written there, whether it is 0 or whether it is 9 or whether it is 2 or whether it is 2 or whether it is 6. These tens digits tell us whether you go to the next or you remain as you are. What you have seen here is that number A, we have rounded up, and then number B, we remained at that whole number. Also number 2, 0 tells us we must remain there. And then number D, it tells us, 1 tells us that we must remain there. And then number E, digit 9 tells us that we must round up or round off up. So we must go to the next whole number, which is 7. That's very good. Now let us take the same numbers and look at now, we are rounding them to the nearest one place. They are very same numbers again. Now this time around, because we are rounding them to the nearest one decimal place, which means we are rounding them to the tens. 0.76 rounded to the tens. The tens, so after decimal, we are going to have only one place remaining, not anymore 2 tens and 2 decimal places, but we are just going to have 1 decimal place remaining. Okay, what tells us now to round up or round down? Round off down or round off up? It's the hundreds this time around. This 6 will tell us to move up or to remain at this 7 tenths. This 5 must tell us whether we move up or we remain at this 1/10. The same happens to this 0, and the same happens to this 7, and the same happens to this 2. Okay, now let us see. 6, remember, it's 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. We are rounding off up. We are going to the next tens. Hence, our answer will be 0.8. Clear? Now, 5 again, it means to us we are rounding up or rounding off up. What does it mean? It means now we are getting to 2. So we are going to have what? 9.2. But this 0, it says remain where you are. Where are we? 2.0. Or it could be 2. That's where we are now. Okay? And then let us look at this 7. 7, we are going up. And then what do we have? We'll be having 2.2. And then this 2 tell us, because 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 remain where you are, then it will tell us that we are going to have 6.9. Excellent. Round off to the nearest 2 decimal places, the very same digits. Now we must round off to the nearest decimal place. Look at this one, 0.76. It has already 2 decimal places. Do we need to round it off? It's already there. Because when we round off to the nearest 2 decimal places, it means we are rounding off to the hundreds. We must have 2 decimal places, and these are hundreds. So what is going to happen? I've already given you, it will remain like that. because we know we are looking at the thousand. Here the thousand will be what? 0. Here the thousand will be what? 0. Here the thousands are 3. Here the thousands 8. Here the thousands are 4. So looking at that, it will remain 0.76. Remain where you are. It's 3. Still says remain where you are. 2.00, it could be 2. And then this one is 8. Then if it say it's 8, it means that we must go to the next hundredths, which is 8. That's why we are having 2.18. And then this one is 4. Remain where you are. Where are you at now? It's 2 hundredths. Therefore, you are going to have what? 6.92. Very critical. Right. Now, when we get to these word problems, that's where you'll see how critical is rounding off. Because many a times you'll get the number that has many places after a comma. Yours is just to make sure that it is rounded off maybe to the 2 decimal places after a comma. Right. Now we are looking at a shopkeeper buys 15 kilograms of bananas for 99 rand 90. What do the bananas cost per kilogram? A minor glitch there. Per kilogram. So our number sentence will be $99, comma 90. Let me see as to whether I got it right. Yes. It's 99 rand, comma 90 divided by 15. Now remember, we can choose any method that we like to do, and then we'll get the same answer. Ne? Now what do we have here? It's a 15 into 9. It doesn't, but into 99, it goes how many times? 15 into 99 goes 6 times. 6. We are having 6 times. And then we say already, comma. Now we are left with how many units? We are left with 9 units, because 6 by 15 gives us 90. So we have 9 units left. Now 9 units and this 9 tenths, they will give us 99 tenths, which will say 15 into this 99 tenths, it goes how much? How many times? It goes again 6. Oh, sorry, I wanted to use this one. 6 times. And then that makes how much? 90, which means we'll be left with again 9 tenths this time around. Ne? And then 9 tenths, we have 0 here, which is for hundredths. Therefore, if we have 9 and this, it will give us what? 90 hundredths. And then we say 50 into 90, it gives how much? 6. Oh, again making a mistake with my colorings. And then we are having this 6 0.66. Ne? Right, what is our question? What do the bananas cost per kilogram? It will be what? Now you must answer that question. Don't leave it like that. Don't leave it like this. You must now answer this question. Therefore, our answer is bananas per kilogram will cost 6.66. Then you have answered the question. You cannot just leave it as 6.6C. You must answer it. Very good. Now, if the examiner asks you, round it off to the nearest or one decimal place, then you get this. You say 6, it will be 6 rand 7, which is 6 rand 70, or 6 rand 70. Ne? But now, because it's money, we know that the money will always be in this 2 decimal places. That's why we are having 6 rand 66. And you see that the popular one with us grade 7s is always rounded off to the nearest 2 decimal places. Good. Now, let us see the second one. What does it say? Now, straight and forward, divide 4,8 to 5 by 5. And round off your answer to 2 decimal places. We have a 4,825. We are going to round it off to 2 decimal places. Okay. Now we'll say is equals to, ne? And then 5 into 4 doesn't, and then we say 0, comma. And then 5 into now 48 tenths. It goes how many times? 9, which makes 45. And then 48 minus 45, we will remain with 3. Good. And then 5 into 32 hundredths. We call it by the last digit here, 32 hundredths. And then it's 5 into 3200, it goes how many times? It will go 6 times, which is, it makes 30. Ne? 6 by 5 is 30. So we will remain with what? 32 minus 32 minus 30, we will remain with 2. And then now we are having 205,000, which is 25,000. Now 5 into 25,000 goes how many times? 5 times. Then what is our answer? We have 0,965. Now you cannot just stand there and say you're finished. Because remember, round off your answer to 2 decimal places. Can we do that? Of course, we can do that. Let's go back. Remember now that 2 decimal places is the hundreds. We're going to round it off to these hundreds. So we must decide as to whether we remain with 6 in this hundreds or we go to the next hundreds, which is 7. So who is going to tell us where to go? Is this 5 in the thousands digit? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, they tell us to go up to the next hundreds. And then you remember 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, they say remain where you are. But now this one say let us go up. Then what is going to be our answer? Our answer will be 0.97. Then we are finished. We are good. Now remember that you can use any method that you want to use. You can use fraction method, you can use this method, or you can use where you are expanding or into the tens, the hundreds, or place values. Ne? That is what you can do. I hope you have enjoyed this one. Let me see, do I have something else? Oh, thank you very much, my learners. I hope this lesson has helped you. Please practice it now and then so that you can get